Greetings, my human friends. This is Jimmy, and I'm doing my silver market update along with some other things that I'm doing. And several of my last recordings hadn't gone up, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit and bring you up to date. But first, I'm going to start with the current situation. And it's really quite exciting. And what we have here is silver, my silver chart that I study. This is a daily chart. And we've achieved, targets right in here at the breakout. This 100% 5364 target became the high here and the high here, and now the third high as a breakout. And this is known as a cup and saucer pattern. Here's the handle, here's the cup. And what's really interesting about silver is if you go back and look at almost all the history we have, you have silver back in 1979, and this is 1971 when Nixon closed the gold window, and silver started its first run. This is the inflation of the 70s, and on up to the blow off at $50. And that was in 1980, the very first of 1980, when I arrived in Alaska. So there's a giant cup and a giant handle. So this handle is actually going to break out. Most all the people that are evenly a minimal aware of silver realize that this measures up another $46 plus. So from 59 to 46, you're at 100. And the reason for this is the silver exchanges, known as the COMEX in Chicago, the London Metals Exchange, LME, in London, have suppressed the price of silver by selling multiple uncovered futures contracts against the metal and just do these attacks. This is called abuse. Silver should be about several $100s. All right. So here we are. This is the year 2020. It was a pretty big run up. Everybody got excited, but still silver got slammed down. In 2022, did a sideways, a little breakout. I would say this was a pretty good clue right in here, and so forth. On up we go. It's currently 59.34. And today's date is December 2nd, I believe. Yes, Tuesday, September 2nd. So if we take this chart and we look a little bit closer at what's been going on. By the way, I traded this whole move in here. I kind of give you my history, but 2000, the dot-com bust, I was down to pretty much nothing and hadn't traded or hadn't really done anything in the markets. Mind you, these are big moves for that time in 2004, which kind of when I got back into it, and managed to do really well through this 2011 bull market. So if you take 2002 to 2011, it's about 9, 10, 11 years. And so we believe in the gold community that we're going to have a 12 or longer year bull market in precious metals. Of course, everything's overbought. Here's the RSI at 85. But if we look back, RSI got quite high during this move. So maybe we're about right. Let's see where we're at in this move. Right here, I can measure that we are right about there, which puts us about here. All right, so if you want to take 13 to 59 and do a percentage, that's potentially where we're at. Okay, so that's kind of fun. More recently, let's take a real closer look and a deep dive in the 360 4-hour. All right, so if you saw my previous videos, I was calling pretty much a low in here and calling a low in here with my special duty TSI program. And I can teach you how to do this. It's not too hard. I can teach you how to do this. It's quite easy to be able to do these measurements. In any event, we are experiencing a very major historic breakout. They call it a wealth transfer. Not sure what that means. And if I take this chart and kind of scrunch it in a little bit, make a drawing of a couple ABCs out here, roughly puts us here where that breakout happened. And if we go back a little bit further, even still, to this one, we did a, okay, so right about here. All right, we did a consolidation here in the 57 area, and we're proceeding to go up again. So let's just, for grins, do a short-term measurement from here. And let's just say that's all the correction we got was to that target right there, 57.30s. So there you go, 68 is cooked in the books for silver. I'm glad I'm making a video of this because it's quite interesting. So if we look shorter term, take the 4-hour and the 30-day, where I was pointing out, this is a stochastic doubled. My friends use the stochastics, and this is the TSI doubled, which slows the signals down. And so this top, 11, 12, and the higher top is going to look tiny once this thing continues to move up. All right, anyway. So let's look at the GDX. And here's the GDX daily. It's a little easier to see on that chart. But here's the daily. Here's big selling volume, big takedown, indecision candle right here with that volume. And a little takedown. And so here we are moving up with GDX. The key signal here is the TSI cross. If I go out in time as best I can, do a 2-year, we can see even on the daily, looking out 2 years, this is equivalent to the lows in here. I'll turn off the subgraph of the volume and you'll be able to see it. All right? That's December 2024. And by hook or by crook, I had not been investing in all this time or doing anything. I was all disgruntled about it and living on my farm. I said, okay, 2025 would be me. Let's just start the year and see how I do. Well, luckily, everything went up. But again, here is what I'm looking at is this cross of the daily TSI. So this is maybe equivalent to this. Or here, I think that looks similar. So if we measure up this gain, like in through here or wherever you want to measure it, we got a long way to go. And when Tim Ord looks at some of the ratio charts and he says, hey, gold to the NASDAQ is just just now starting looking at a weekly or monthly Bollinger Band program. So right now, silver is actually live right here, and it is 59.40. And when the public wakes up, it'll probably be $80. All right, so GDX. Next, we'll look at Nugget, NUGT, which is the 3X. 3X or 2X, I don't know what. Leveraged ETF. I think it's 2X. I'm sorry, I forget these things sometimes. So if we look at this chart, we draw an A here, a B to this top here, and a C to here. We'll put that right there. Real-time study, $233 from $166. Nice. So this is where you do Jesse Livermore, and the way you make money is by sitting still. So now I promised you I was going to backtrack and show you how I navigated the last couple months of this correction. So what I noticed in one of my older videos was how the TSI faded during the last of this uprun in the nugget, let's say, or we can do GDXJ, which is the underlying to JNUG or nugget. Same thing. All right, so we would have thought this was a high, or a high tracing out in here. And in a way it did, but what happened here was the trend was just broken by the TSI. Something in here signaled that we weren't going back up to a higher, but more a deeper correction, which is what happened. So actually, in using the TSI here on the 4 hours, I was able to actually feel comfortable buying this dip right in here. It was the day after kind of the first bust. It looked like all hell was going to break loose. And then the TSI did a move upward here, which, hey man, that looks like we're going to run up. But it then did a fake out test of the bottom. This is what I noticed, a higher low in the indicator while the low was equal here. And then from here, we had a nice move up. And in the last, this is 11:18, down through these days, I was just kind of hanging on, going, okay, are we going to make it? And luckily, everything sort of turned up. Now we're at an overbought position. And I wanted to try to sell some stuff and capture this little move here, but I'm just not in the options mode at this point. So we'll take a closer look at GDXJ and see what we get. A, B, C. Well, look, we're right at a target. 108. So that's why, it's pulled back. I guess the target would be just in here somewhere. So we're pulling back at 108. This has to cool off a bit. Maybe it comes back down to 100, or even a little bit lower to let this indicator cool off. And you have to notice it might do a wiggle first, right? It doesn't just go straight down to this point. Here's, a nice ABC on this indicator. So, okay, this is for my friends who really know me a lot because I'm digging into these charts like this. Well, I want to start recording with this and see, to start kind of restart this blog. I'll try to post some older videos, but it's really going to be exciting for all of our silver friends. And I think I'll post this publicly so people can start to see how really exciting it is. All right, guys, 14 minutes.